Welcome back to the Deep Dig A Sports Pod. I'm your host, D. Before we dig into anything, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts because it was an action-packed weekend. What a game between number 2 Georgia going to Tuscaloosa to take on number 4 Alabama. And for the first, more than first half, maybe first 2.5 quarters, this was all Bama. It was crazy. And this was something that I just did not see coming. I knew that. So I placed a wager on Alabama to win because I just felt like they had the edge, the toughness. We've seen this with Kirby Smart and this Georgia team before, where when they go to Bama or when they play Alabama, something just happens to Kirby Smart, and his teams just do not come out firing the way they're supposed to. And Alabama this year, they've had their ups, they've had their downs. We've seen them play a close game against South Florida, but realistically, Jalen Milroe has looked so amazing this season, and he's looked much improved. And I think that Kalen DeBoer is really figuring out, like, this is exactly what Jalen Milroe does well. Let's exploit it. And so I had a feeling that Alabama was going to win this game, but I thought it was going to be a nail biter all the way through. And that was just not the case from the first, I guess, quarter moving forward. It was all Alabama. Then Georgia came back. So let's start off with like that first half. Jalen Milroe and this Alabama offense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm going to sit here and I will eat my crow because I said Jalen Milroe was not a good quarterback. I just felt like he has to be in a specific situation, and they're going to have to play this perfectly for him to look good. Because last year, he was battling for his starting spot. When they got into the playoff, he played horribly. He played like a guy, and I hate to say it, he played like a guy who was a running back playing quarterback. He just looked like he couldn't throw. He looked like he had an Alex Orgy-esque game to him in that playoff game. But this year, he looks so much more improved. He looks like the guy that you showed flashes of last season, but he is that guy all the way through. He played an amazing game. I think that this week he put his stamp on the Heisman Trophy and was like, hey, I'm here. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I know it's going to be him, Cam Ward, and maybe Travis Hunter moving forward. Ashton Genty's in there as well. So it's going to be, I think, those four that are going to be, if they keep up this type of play, going to be in the Heisman finalists. He came out and he played like a man on fire. He looked great. And his athleticism was he was a man amongst boys, even amongst that Georgia defense, which has nothing but 5-star talent, that has NFL prospects, guys that are going to be playing on Sundays next year. And he just looked levels above them. He went out there and he did not shy away from the spotlight. He put it on them and he put it on them fast. They got up to an early lead. It was looking awesome. On the other hand, Carson Beck and this Georgia team, they just didn't get off the bus until like the second half. And I think we can go ahead and put to bed this whole conversation of Carson Beck being the first pick overall. I don't think he deserves it. I don't think that he's that good realistically. I think we can go ahead and put that to bed because this performance was pretty. I'm not going to say it was awful, but it was awful. He had 3 picks, he had a fumble, and he took a safety. You can't do that and expect your team to win. And even the touchdown that he did have, the long touchdown that he had, it was underthrown. If it was a better ball, he walks into the end zone easy. Instead, he underthrew it. He had to beat his guy. He had to do that spin to get to the end zone. I just don't know with Carson Beck because, I mean, they had, I think, 293 yards in the fourth quarter, but for 3/4 of that game, he just looked like trash. And it's like, what is it going to take for Carson Beck to like put it all together? I mean, we've seen it before where he looked good, but I'm not 100% sold on it. And so he didn't look good. You can't win a game, especially against a team like Bama once they get rolling. They got up really early. You can't put yourself into that big of a hole and expect to win that game. And now I think moving forward, Georgia's going to have big game after big game after big game, and they've put themselves in the position to where if they drop maybe one more, you just never know what could happen. Could the committee keep them out of a playoff if they are a 2-loss team and you have a 1-loss Notre Dame. It's going to be very interesting down the stretch because and two, like Missouri has a very soft schedule. I know they're taking on A&M this week, but that could be a problem for this committee moving forward because if Notre Dame continues to win out, and really the only team that they have left on their schedule is USC, and we've seen USC just lose to a team that did not have a quarterback that could throw forward, and Alex Orji. So that's a possible win there. If they just have that one loss to Northern Illinois, but they have the brand power of Notre Dame, they could keep this Georgia team out if they drop another one. And they have some really tough games coming up. They're going to be at Texas, I believe at Ole Miss. They're still going to have Tennessee on their schedule. It's going to be a tough schedule. It's going to be tough sledding moving forward for Georgia. And then the conversation comes up of Kirby Smart. You can't beat Bama. Like, why is Bama your kryptonite? It's really tough because obviously he's shown that he can put together a much dominant team, guys that are 5-star that are going to go to the NFL. He's won a championship before. So it's like, why can't you put away this one team? And it just moving forward, I believe now he's 1-6 against Bama. And that's now this loss is without Nick Saban. And so it's just one of those things, like you start to bring up that conversation. It's like, Kirby, your team is better than this. Why did they not get off the bus until the second half? So that's a conversation, but I think realistically their resilience, their ability to come back and make it a game and actually go up, that puts them, I think they are still a top 5 team in the nation. And I think that they should be in this playoff, but they're going to have a really tough path to get it. And we'll see what the committee ends up doing because it's going to be weird down the stretch. This college football playoff is going to be extremely weird. We're hearing buzz about Army-Navy game being like one of those, like, this is a win and get in. We're seeing that the Big 12 is a mess. Like, who's going to make it out of that? Because Utah just lost, who was a number 10 seed at the time, or number 10 team in the nation at the time. It's going to get weird. It's going to get weird fast. And so it's going to be really exciting moving forward. From the Bama side, Kalen DeBoer put his stamp and is like, this is my Bama team. I know we're talking about possibly the greatest college football coach ever, and I'm his replacement, but he's put his stamp on this team. They're ready to rock and roll. Jalen Milroe looks even more improved. And let's give it to this guy. This guy, instead of jumping ship when Nick Saban leaves, he decides to stay. He hires his own quarterback coach. He improves vastly. He takes to Kalen DeBoer's offense and just continues to shine. And he looks like a guy that he should be number 1 for the Heisman. He's had the biggest moment of any player this year. And I think he deserves to be number 1 in the rankings moving forward. And I think it's up to Cam Ward with a weak schedule to outperform him but it's going to be really hard just because he's going to be in big spot after big spot moving forward in this SEC schedule for them. I think that it's his game to lose at this point. Ryan Williams, what a crazy story. 17-year-old kid, wide receiver, has two insane catches. One, the bobbling catch for a long gain. The second one to put them at the go-ahead score to win it. Let's talk about the move on that second one. That was probably one of the craziest moves I've ever seen. The spin into the slower spin, then he runs it down, and as he's crossing the goal line, he takes out his mouthpiece. This guy is just something special. We're watching something that we're going to look back in 3 years and we're going to be like, okay, yeah, we knew it from that point forward. And he's put his stamp on this Alabama team. He could be one of the most talented receivers that this team, who's seen a lot of talented receivers, he might be number 1 on this list if he keeps up this pace. It's crazy. He's a freak of nature. He's a phenom, and it's someone I'm so excited to wake up and watch on Saturdays moving forward. What an awesome game. I think the back and forth battle between Georgia and Bama, you're going to be hard pressed to find another game like that. It was awesome. I think that's going to be the game of the year. But again, there's a lot moving forward. Texas is going to start getting in the mix. We're still going to see this Georgia team. We're still going to see Ohio State get into the mix and finally start playing people. Like it's going to be pretty awesome. But you got to love it because this was such a hyped game. And for it to live up to this hype, it's very, very special. And what we seen on Saturday was awesome. So let's go back and appreciate that. Again, if you turned it off or if you were like, all right, I'm going to check out, just go back and watch the condensed version. What a fun time. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, drop some comments. Just let me know your thoughts, what you thought about this entire weekend of college football. I thought it was awesome. I want to hear from you. All right. Later.